oiling on A1. A1 has several holes to oil. One is right up here, and that's usually marked in red. And I can kind of wait for it to keep soaking down in there and see how many drops I can get in there. It has wicks, little things like shoestrings underneath, and it'll take the oil to where it's gotta go. So that's good. So I'm gonna wipe that off. Then there's another one midstream or halfway up. So there's one here. So it takes a little while for the air to burp out of the hole and then the oil to go down. So when it's really slow, then you can pretty much know that the wicks are wet. And then there's one up here in the throat. This is a little harder to see, but I put the drop above it and let it run down. Some of the bottles you can have a needle nose on them, and then that's a little bit easier to stick in there. There's one here on the side, and this one I put my spout all the way in and then give it a little squirt. Do not over oil. The bottoms have little sponges in them, but if you over oil, it might come out the tail or it might come down the needle. There's two more up here, and this is a really good place where you can see the wick. So if you get really close there, Gabe, you can see that there's like a string in there. I've had people call me and say, that thing was packed with fuzz and I took it out. Well, now your string doesn't take the oil where it's supposed to go. So if it takes a few drops up here, see, it's still taking it down. There's a little more. So people say, well, how do you know one's enough? That's enough. Well, depends on the humidity in your area and your temperature in your house, if you're running your furnace, or how hot the weather is, how fast that might evaporate out of there. And then, so it's really hard to guess at it. So I kind of go by these top two ones with the little caps on them. If I pull this up and I can get 6 drops in there, I figure I might get 6 drops in all of the rest too, because it probably dries out about the same. And then people ask about oiling up front. So you can stay there, Gabe, and I'll come around. So this here, this piece is called a hook, or it's called a bobbin basket. And then I oil, there's an inner piece and an outer piece on it. So I try to oil up high a little bit, and then I take my flywheel and I turn it. I try to get that oil around there. So, and you can hear it. They get tickety-tick if they don't have enough oil. And then, inside the bobbin case, there's a backlash spring, and that's to keep your bobbin from coasting. But some get really dry, and you can brush out the fuzzies, and you could put a little drop in there and push it around a little. So it does help a little bit. You don't have to have much in there. And it also just makes it a little bit slicker. It won't hurt if you don't oil in there. If you're a little afraid you'll wet your thread. And with oil and have a color change, you can not go in there. But that's about all you have to oil on these, which you can buy machines that say they require less oiling, but these are 30 to 50 year machines. And they've got metal gears, and you're going to oil these so that they last a long time. And some things that have plastic gears or things like that, they don't have to be oiled as much or at all. And so it just has to do with the materials that you have. Some people have the new gold hooks on their machine, and I think the gold hooks require more oiling because I think that the gold is more porous than the silver. So I think they require you give it a little shot before you start every quilt. And if it's a great big one, maybe you'll oil in the middle or something like that. So that's the oiling on the A1.